Things rarely go according to plan. Just trying to move some more of this dirt before the rain came. As you can see, it's raining. I have a flat tire that's leaking out all of my washer fluid. I managed to get it pulled into the garage in the pouring down rain by filling it up a little bit at a time because it goes so fast. There's a crack here on the back, just spraying all the air. I was doing the best I could out there in the rain to try to keep that filled up, go about 10 feet at a time, have to get off, fill it back up again. That's how quickly it went down, because the slit on the inside of that tire is probably 3 inches, and it just was spraying that washer fluid and all the air out. So when I took that R4 tire and rim into the tire shop, they put a new tube in it, about 20 pounds of air pressure, and they saw the huge slit across the whole side of the inside of that tire. They gave me a call and said, you know, we could spend $50 on a new tube, and then this would last you maybe a year, but the inside's pretty rotted out. That huge slit's just gonna cause a bulge. The tube will come through it, it'll get pinched, and eventually you'll have the same issue in a year or less. So he said probably should buy a new tire. And that was when a light bulb went off, and I thought, you know, those R4 tires, I know they put them on a lot of these subcompact tractors when they were sold, but they're not the best for my situation. I spend probably 0 time on cement or asphalt, and all of my time in the yard, in the mud, in the snow, and those tires are not best for that situation. I made a video in the past, and I'll put a link up above to the different tire types on tractors. We've got the R1 Ag tires on our old Ford tractor. This had both the turf tires and the R4 tires available to it. The turf tires on this, the first several years I used them a lot for all my mowing. Now that I mow with the 0 turn, I hardly ever put those turf tires on. I think it's probably been 3 years, and I haven't put the turf tires back on this machine. So I've used the R4s exclusively for 3 years, and like I said, they're not the best in dirt and mud and snow, which is where this thing pretty much lives. So as soon as the tire shop told me it was time to replace one, I thought, okay, these are both the original tires. They are now 20 years old. They're probably both in the same condition. Let's go ahead and replace both, which would give me the opportunity to switch tire types. You've probably seen in other videos where I've said I really like the R14 tire, which is a hybrid tire. For our subcompact tractor, my favorite tire, and what I decided to go with, because as you can see, we've got some pretty good lugs. They are separated. The rubber is somewhat pliable. These are going to do better, I believe, in the snow, in the mud, in the slop. These are radial tires, which I've wanted. And these are the famous Versa Turf tires. So I think these are going to suit my needs much better all year round. And they're going to make my tractor much better for the things that I need to do with it than those R4s. Now I still have the R4s here on the front, and I'll probably leave those there until they fail. But once they fail, we'll probably switch to those VersaTurf tires also for the front. And I've already noticed some differences, so we'll talk about those once I get these mounted onto the machine. I did have this down on jack stands just to be safe until I got the tire back, and I did disconnect my ballast box from the back because it is so heavy. We'll see how this goes putting these back on. I've always felt like there should be 2 outward facing bolts that let you align the wheel back onto the hub, because the way it is now, the wheel has to sit inside here, but then you're also trying to rotate it to get the bolts to line up with the holes, and it is not an easy task. Like I said, I've got the turf tires and I had the R4 tires, so I'd switch them out. So I used to do this twice a year until about 3 years ago. You can see I did have these loaded with Washer fluid again, they hold 8 gallons of washer fluid. We were able to salvage the washer fluid from the other tire that hadn't burst and put it inside this one. The other tire, since I lost all that washer fluid, we did have to get 8 gallons of washer fluid in it. And we'll talk about the total price for these, which, by the way, was cheaper than the price for getting the R4s that were on it previously. And I think these are a much better tire, at least for my needs on this machine. So you can see I need to go up a little bit. So what I'm going to try to do, put this on a block like that. See if that helps us get lined up a little bit better. But then now you can see we've got to get the holes lined up. And that means we need to rotate forward. So a little bit of scooching it, rotating the tire. That's actually pretty close right there. And come down just a little bit on the jack. See how that looks. Okay. A little bit more rotation. Now that we're started to get the hub on there, I'm going to raise it back up just a little bit so I can twist it. I do still have jack stands underneath for support, for safety. Try to get 2 or 3 of these started. A little bit more wiggle. Go up a little bit. A little bit more. Very close. Just a little bit more down. You can hear the washer fluid in there sloshing around. So we need to scooch it, rotate it back a little bit. A little bit more rotation back. Just a little scooching. That's pretty close. Got one in there. I'm just going to raise it up a little bit. And that should allow us to wiggle these other ones in place. Yep. Honestly, harder than putting these wheels and tires on is going to be getting that ballast box back on. That's always a job. There are on Amazon tire and wheel sets of these VersaTurf, so if you need new rims and new tires, you can buy them already mounted, and I'll put an Amazon affiliate link down below to those tire and rim sets for both the front and the back. This tractor uses on the back a 26 by 12. That's a pretty common size on these 2210s, 2305, 1023s, 1025s by John Deere. It's also pretty common, I think, on the Kubota tractors of this size. Okay, we're going to let the weight back down onto the wheels. Now this is the hard part. I've got so much ballast, so much sand in this ballast box that it's really difficult to get lined up. You can't shimmy it much, and then you've got to hold both of these out at the same time to go over the pins on the side. And this adjustable side tends to ride a little bit lower on the tractor. These turnbuckle adjustments are, we've talked about this in the past, they're just about the worst. And you can see we need to go back a couple inches on this side. On this side, we're actually just about right. So we'll try to get this side on first. Take the brake off on the tractor, but easier. It needs to go forward just a little bit to get this side on. That side's on and the pin's in, that's the easy part. So this side, you can see we need to go a little bit more forward. And looks like we're a little too high. Now what I like to do next is tighten up these turnbuckles so that they don't sway around so much. Because when the weight shifts from side to side, that's hard on the machine. So this one's about all the way in. We put our pin back through here. This one doesn't have far to go to be all the way in. All the further it will go, put the pin through. That pin just keeps it from twisting. Nice AMSOIL magnetic pan here. Put the top link back on. I can't remember where I pulled that pin off of. It's got to go somewhere here. These fronts should inflate to 22 psi. Let's see where we're at. I'll put a link down below to this pressure gauge on my airline. I use it all the time. We're at 16.3. 20.6. 23. You can use this button to let a little bit of pressure out. 22.3. Now notice how these R4 tires have almost like a rim guard that extends beyond the rim the whole way around. And that's nice when you are squishing these front tires with a lot of loader weight, because this rim guard is protecting the tire from the rim pinching against it. You'll also notice that the tire width is a little bit wider than the rim on these R4 tires. Now let's take a look at our new VersaTurf and you'll see a little bit of a difference. Here on the VersaTurf, like I said, there's a lot of things I really like about it. I think it's going to be a great tire for me, but I do wish it had some of that rim guard. It just goes just to the rim. The tread is just about the same width as the rim, and I worry that when this is under a heavy load, it could pinch down against that rim. But the nice thing about these tires is that they are a radial tire. So unlike a bias ply tire, these are meant to flex on the side under a load, which actually gives you better traction, better grip, a smoother ride. So that is one of the advantages I wanted in the VersaTurf tire. Like I said, I'm excited about trying this out. Actually, we're gonna go out right now and see how it works in some dirt, because I've got a lot more dirt to move. So first little trip into the woods, Jennifer recorded for me. You can see it's pretty wet down there. We've had a lot of rain lately, which we needed, but it came really fast, like half an inch an hour, over an inch an hour. We had some flooding out by the road. I'll put a clip in of that. Just a lot of debris floating out onto the road in the heavy rain. But I'd say a couple first impressions of the new VersaTurf tires. First of all, because they're radial tires, they are a much smoother ride. I can immediately tell the difference in these tires from the old R4 tires that we had previously. Second of all, in the wet, sloppy stuff, I could tell these were already digging in better. They do have that angled design, kind of like an R1 tire. That's why they're a hybrid tire. So that dug in quite a bit better. And then back there in the mud, you can see it was really slick. We have a lot of clay around us. I know Adam at Hometown Acres was looking for clay for his pond build. Pretty much all we have around us is clay. So you get back in that clay and it's really slick. You saw we spun the tires quite a bit. But it does clean out on the sides when you squish through it, so that was nice. And it's yet to be seen how these will do in a lot of mud use. Now today, too wet to do any more digging back there. We don't want to make it any more rutted up than we already have. But I wanted to give you a sample of my thoughts so far on the VersaTurf tires. I think, you know, I probably wouldn't have gone out and spend this money. These were $178 a piece at the tire shop. And then, like I said, we needed to get 8 gallons of washer fluid in one. The other 8 gallons we were able to salvage from the other tire. So our total cost was exactly $400 for 2 VersaTurf tires, mounted, balanced, and filled with fluid. So I think not a bad price. Again, probably not something I would have done if the R4s hadn't failed. But now I'm kind of thinking I probably should have done this a number of years ago instead of just using those R4s all the time in the snow where they're no good at all, and then in the mud where they're constantly spinning and getting stuck.
And how old were the tires?
20 years old. So this is a 2004 John Deere 2210. Those were the original tires that came on the machine. This is 2024, so those were 20 years old.
So you probably can't expect more than 20 years at a time.
No, that's really, I mean, the tread wear was very minimum because like I talked about, we only use it here mostly in grass and dirt and mud, never on cement. So those R4 tires are made for industrial use, kind of on a mix of cement and dirt. We never used them on the cement. That's why they still had like 100% tread life left. But the sidewalls were just all dry rotted and it was time for them to go.
Did you say anything about how we feel really lucky that we have 2 family-run tire shops in the community that are super knowledgeable and trustworthy, and you trust when they say that
Yes.
the tire can't be fixed?
Yeah, so we did a video previously about putting a new tire on the Ford 8N tractor and getting that calcium put in it. This same tire shop did that work. And actually, when I first got my Ford 2N tractor here at the property, I had no way to haul it. I needed new tires. That tire shop came here with their mobile truck, put those tractor tires on my tractor here. So yeah, the family-run businesses are hard to compete with when you understand the value of what they bring in experience and kindness and just building relationships. So yeah, nice to have a business like that around that knows about tires and knows how to treat people right. Thanks for watching. Hopefully you found this video informative and entertaining. Please leave comments down below if you've got experience with these VersaTurf tires. So far, I think they're really, truly a great hybrid tire, a mix kind of between the R1 and the R4 tires. And I'm glad that finally I made the investment. Wasn't something I was planning on doing. As you saw, I was out in the middle of a rainstorm when the tire blew and all my washer fluid came out. But now that we have them, it's money well spent. Thanks for watching. Hopefully we'll see you again the next time. You can see how that angled tread digs in nicely to the soft dirt. And then back there in the mud, it didn't leave us stranded. See how the edges push the mud out? It's kind of a self-cleaning technology in that design. Now you can see, there's another good example of pushing through the mud. You can see they're a little bit caked right now. So we'll see how that cleans out over time. But so are the R4s. You can see where I came through the wet area here. What a good job they did digging in here. It's a little bit more sandy here. You can see how they did dig in there. A lot of flotation on the radial tires. Coming down over this bank. That's a great shot right there. Making progress on my dirt. I'm running out of dirt in my dirt pile though, so I really wanted to fill all of this in to be level, but I'm still gonna have a bit of a hump here, almost looking like a sand mound. And I'll level that all out, smooth it out, so at least it's a smooth bump to go over with the zero turn in the mowers.